First up, the 1979 Washington silver quarter, specifically one without a mint mark, in extra fine condition. If you've got one of these coins sitting in your collection or you've just come across one, this video is for you. First things first, let's quickly cover the basics. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. Now, when we talk about the 1979 Washington quarter, it's important to remember that this is a part of the regular series of quarters minted for circulation. These coins were made of copper nickel clad, but here's the interesting part: the 1979 quarter, without a mint mark, is often mistaken for something much rarer because it's relatively harder to find in exceptional condition compared to some of the earlier years in the series. Now, what does extra fine condition actually mean? Well, extra fine, or EF, is a grading term used in the numismatic world to describe coins that have seen some wear, but still maintain strong details. On a Washington quarter, the features on George Washington's profile, the eagle on the reverse. And the lettering should still be very sharp with minimal wear. An extra fine coin will have visible, clear details, but you may notice light wear on the highest points of the design, like the tip of Washington's hair and the eagle's wings. So, what's the value of this coin in today's market? As of 2024, a 1979 Washington quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition can be worth between $5 to $10. It may not be a high-priced rare coin, but it can still fetch a nice premium over face value. Of course, the value can fluctuate depending on factors like the coin's specific grade and demand from collectors. But generally speaking, unless the coin is in uncirculated or proof condition or has a unique error, you're looking at this range for an EF coin. A few key factors affect the value of any coin, including the 1979 Washington quarter. The condition, of course, matters the most, but other factors include rarity, demand, and the presence of any unique features, like errors or specific varieties. Since there were millions of 1979 quarters minted, they're relatively common. But if you find one with a unique error, such as a misstrike or a doubling in the lettering, that could increase its value significantly. To sum it up, the 1979 Washington silver quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition is worth anywhere from $5 to $10 in today's market. It's not a rare coin, but it's still a great find for collectors looking to complete their sets or add to their collection. Next up, the 1987 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in fine condition, and we're going to answer the big question: how much is this coin worth in today's market? Stick around to find out. Let's start with a quick refresher on the 1987 Washington quarter. This coin is part of the Washington quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932. The design features George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, with the "In God We Trust" motto and "E pluribus unum" inscribed around the edge. Now, the 1987 quarter is significant because it was part of the regular minting run from the US. Mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The D mint mark indicates it was struck in Denver. And although these quarters are common, they're still valuable to collectors when they're in good condition. So, what exactly does fine condition mean in coin grading terms? Fine or F grade means that the coin shows considerable wear, but the major design elements are still distinguishable. In a fine coin, you'll notice some loss of detail on the high points, like Washington's hair and the eagle's wings, but the coin's overall shape and features remain visible. A fine coin will show some moderate wear, but still have readable legends and visible details that collectors appreciate. Now, let's get to the most exciting part: the value. A 1987 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in fine condition is worth somewhere around $3 to $4 in today's market. It's not a high-value coin, but it's definitely worth more than face value. Remember, the value can vary based on factors like market demand and where it's being sold, but in general, if you have one of these coins in fine condition, it's worth a little more than the 25 cents it originally cost. Of course, several factors affect the value of any coin, and the 1987 D Washington quarter is no exception. First, condition is key. Coins in uncirculated or MS mint state condition are worth significantly more. But even within fine condition, the clarity of the coin's features matters. If you have a coin with more sharp details and less wear, it could be worth a bit more. Other things to keep an eye out for are errors or unique variations, though the 1987 quarters aren't known for major minting errors, it's always worth checking closely for things like double strikes or misprints. Those types of errors can make a huge difference in the value. To recap, a 1987 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in fine condition is typically worth between $3 and $4 in today's market. It's not the most valuable coin in the series, but it's still a nice piece for collectors and definitely worth hanging on to if you have one in your collection. Next up, the 1995 Washington quarter with the P mint mark, specifically in extra fine condition. So, if you've got one of these in your collection or you're wondering what it's worth, stick around to find out. Let's start with a brief overview of the 1995 Washington quarter. This coin is part of the regular issue of quarters from the United States Mint. The Washington quarter, which has been in circulation since 1932, features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. The 1995 quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is where the P mint mark comes from. Although it's a more modern coin, it's still important to collectors, especially when it's in good condition. Now, what does it mean for a coin to be in extra fine condition? Well, coins are graded on a scale from poor P to mint state MS, and extra fine EF is one of the higher grades. In this grade, the coin will show some light wear, but the major design features are still clear and sharp. For a 1995 Washington quarter in extra fine condition, you'll see that the details, like George Washington's hair, the eagle's wings, and the inscription "In God We Trust," are well preserved with only minimal wear. The coin will have a nice, even patina, and the legends will be fully readable. So, what's the value of a 1995 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in extra fine condition? As of 2024, the value of this coin typically falls between $3 and $5. While it's not the most valuable coin out there, it's certainly worth more than face value. The reason it holds this value is primarily due to its condition. Coins that are in higher grades, like extra fine or above, tend to be worth more to collectors who are looking for well-preserved pieces to complete their sets. Several factors affect the value of any coin, and the 1995 Washington quarter is no exception. First, the condition of the coin is the biggest factor. Coins in mint state MS or uncirculated condition will generally fetch a higher price. But the quality of the strike and the clarity of the design can also impact its value. The presence of a P mint mark indicates the coin was minted in Philadelphia, and while it's common for modern quarters, it does make this specific coin identifiable among other quarters from different mints. If you find a 1995 quarter with the P mint mark in a higher grade than extra fine, like MS63 or MS63 or MS65, the value can be much higher, potentially $10 or more. So, to summarize, a 1995 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in extra fine condition is worth around $3 to $5 in today's market. It's not a rare coin, but its well-preserved condition makes it more valuable than its face value. If you've got one of these in your collection, it's definitely worth holding onto or even getting professionally graded. Next up, the 1985 Washington silver quarter with the P mint mark in good condition. If you've got one of these coins in your collection, you might be wondering what it's worth in today's market. Let's dive in. First, let's talk a little bit about the 1985 Washington quarter. This coin is part of the Washington quarter series, which has been minted since 1932. The obverse features the iconic portrait of George Washington, while the reverse shows an eagle with the inscription "E pluribus unum" and "In God We Trust." The 1985 quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it has the P mint mark. This coin is part of the regular circulation run, and it was produced in copper nickel clad, meaning it's not made of silver, as some might assume from the term Washington silver quarter. Now, let's talk about good condition. What does that actually mean? In coin grading, good G is a lower grade on the scale, but it's not the worst. Coins in good condition typically show heavy wear, but the major design features, such as the date, mint mark, and major outlines of the image, are still visible. For a 1985 Washington quarter in good condition, you'll notice that the details on Washington's hair and the eagle's wings will be worn down, but the basic design and major lettering should still be readable. The coin's edges might be a bit rounded, and you'll likely see some scratches or scuff marks, but it's still identifiable. So, what's the value of a 1985 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in good condition as of 2024? this coin typically sells for around $2 to $3 in the market. It's still worth more than face value, but because it's not in the best condition, it doesn't fetch a high price. Even though the 1985 Washington quarter isn't super rare, collectors still value coins like this based on their condition and mintage. But since this coin is in good condition, it's not considered particularly scarce or high value. While the condition plays a huge role in determining a coin's value, there are other factors to keep in mind. The mintage can affect the demand. 1985 Washington quarters were minted in large quantities, so they're not particularly rare. However, if you find a special error coin like a double strike, a misprint, or an off-center strike that can significantly raise the value, even for a coin in good condition. Coins with unique varieties or minting errors always attract more attention from collectors and could increase their value. But in general, a good condition 1985 Washington quarter will fall within the $2 to $3 range. So, to summarize, a 1985 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in good condition is worth about $2 to $3 in today's market. It's not a rare find, but it's still a nice coin to have in your collection, especially if you're looking to complete a Washington quarter set. Next up, the 1990 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in good condition. If you've ever wondered how much this coin is worth in today's market, you've come to the right place. Let's dive in and take a closer look. First things first, let's go over a bit of background about the 1990 Washington quarter. This coin was minted as part of the regular issue of quarters by the United States Mint. It features the familiar George Washington on the front and an eagle on the reverse. The D mint mark means this quarter was minted at the Denver Mint. The 1990 Washington quarter is part of the clad series, so it's made of a copper-nickel composition and not silver like some earlier versions of the quarter. Still, it's a valuable coin for collectors, especially in good condition. Now, let's talk about good condition. In the world of coin collecting, good G is a lower middle grade, but it's still a step above the lowest grades like poor. A coin in good condition will show considerable wear, but you'll still be able to see the major design features clearly. For a 1990 Washington quarter in good condition, you'll notice significant wear on the coin. The details on Washington's hair and the eagle's wings will be faded, but they will still be discernible. The date and mint mark are still readable, and you should be able to identify the coin easily. So, what's the value of a 1990 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in good condition today? As of 2024, this coin is worth around $2 to $3 in the market. While it's not a rare or extremely high-value coin, it's worth more than face value, which is always a nice bonus for collectors. Although the 1990 Washington quarter is not one of the most valuable in the series, it's still a nice find for those looking to complete their collections or just appreciate well-preserved coins. The value can fluctuate slightly based on demand and condition, but in general, you're looking at the $2 to $3 range. There are several factors that could affect the value of a coin, including its condition, rarity, and whether it has any errors or unique characteristics. For the 1990 Washington quarter, the D mint mark is fairly common, and millions of these coins were produced, so they're not rare. However, if you happen to find a 1990 quarter with any minting errors, like a double die or misstrike, that could significantly increase its value. But for a standard 1990 D quarter in good condition, it's likely going to stay within the $2 to $3 range. So, to sum it up, a 1990 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in good condition is worth around $2 to $3 in today's market. It might not be a high-value coin, but it's still a great piece to have in your collection, especially if you're trying to complete a set of Washington quarters or are just getting started with coin collecting. Next up, the 1981 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in fine condition, and explore its current value in the market. If you've got one of these in your collection, you'll want to stick around to find out what it's worth today. Let's start with a quick refresher on the 1981 Washington quarter. This coin is part of the Washington quarter series, which has been minted since 1932. The design features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the front and an eagle on the reverse. The inscriptions include "In God We Trust, Liberty, and E Pluribus Unum." The 1981 quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is where the P mint mark comes from. This coin was part of the regular coinage produced for circulation, and it's made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, not silver, which is a common misconception for Washington quarters minted after 1964. Now, let's talk about fine condition. In coin grading, fine F is a middle grade condition, meaning the coin shows noticeable wear but still retains a fair amount of detail. The overall design will be clear, but you might notice some flattening on the high points of the design. For a 1981 Washington quarter in fine condition, you'll see that the coin has visible wear, but the major design elements, like Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, and the inscriptions, are still distinct. There will be some light smoothing, but the date and mint mark are still legible. So, how much is a 1981 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in fine condition worth today? In 2024, this coin is typically valued around $2 to $3 in the market. It's worth more than face value, but not by a huge amount, as it's a more common coin. Even though the 1981 Washington quarter isn't rare or extremely valuable, it's still a collectible coin in fine condition. It's a great find for collectors looking to complete their set of Washington quarters. Several factors can influence the value of any coin, and the 1981 Washington quarter is no different. First, condition is the most important. Coins that are in mint state MS or uncirculated condition can fetch significantly higher prices. But for a coin in fine condition, the value is generally set at about $2 to $3. Another factor that can increase a coin's value is its rarity. The 1981 P quarter is relatively common, with millions of these coins minted. However, if you happen to find a minting error, like a double strike or a misprint, that could significantly increase the value. Special varieties and errors can make a huge difference in the price. To sum it up, a 1981 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in fine condition is typically worth around $2 to $3 in today's market. While it's not one of the high-value coins in the Washington quarter series, it's still a nice piece to have in your collection, especially if you're working on a set of quarters from the 1980s. First up, the 2000D Jefferson Nickel. Let's start with a little history on the Jefferson Nickel series. First issued in 1938, this 5-cent piece has featured the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, ever since. This design replaced the earlier Buffalo nickel and has gone through a few design changes over the years. On the obverse, or front side of the coin, we see Thomas Jefferson's profile, originally created by artist Felix Schlag. The reverse side features an image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. This classic design made the Jefferson nickel one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. currency. Let's zoom in on the 2000D Jefferson Nickel. What does the D stand for? It indicates that this coin was minted in Denver, Colorado. Each U.S. mint location has its own letter marking D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, S for San Francisco, and W for West Point, though West Point only produces special coins. In the year 2000, both the Denver and Philadelphia mints produced Jefferson Nickels. Denver struck around 1.6 billion nickels that year, so it's not a rare coin by mintage numbers alone. But of course, there's more to a coin's value than just its rarity. The 2000D nickel, like other Jefferson nickels, has a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This specific alloy combination gives the coin its characteristic silver-like color, and it's quite durable, making nickels resistant to wear and tear. If you look closely, you'll see that the obverse of the coin shows Jefferson's left profile with the words "In God We Trust" and liberty, as well as the year 2000. Flip it over and you'll find Monticello on the reverse, along with the words "E Pluribus Unum" and United States of America. This classic design was a staple of U.S. currency until a redesign began in 2004 to commemorate the Lewis and Clark expedition. Let's talk about value. The 2000D Jefferson nickel is common in circulation, so a well-worn example is typically worth its face value of 5 cents. However, higher-grade coins, ones that are uncirculated or with minimal scratches and no tarnish, can be worth more to collectors. Coins that are graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services, like the Professional Coin Grading Service PCGS or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation NGC, are more valuable, sometimes selling for a few dollars rather than just 5 cents. Coins that have full steps on the Monticello building, meaning all 6 steps are visible with no wear, are especially desirable, as this is a rare detail that requires excellent strike quality. One exciting thing about the 2000D Jefferson nickel is the potential for errors. Errors are mistakes that occur during the minting process, like misaligned dies, double strikes, or improper planchettes. Although not every 2000D Jefferson nickel has errors, finding one with a mistake can make it much more valuable. Some of the most common errors in the Jefferson nickel series include die cracks, off-center strikes, and doubled dies. Coins with these unique flaws often fetch higher prices from collectors. So, if you come across a 2000D Jefferson nickel with something unusual, it's worth having it checked out. Now, if you're looking to add a valuable 2000D Jefferson nickel to your collection, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, look for coins in mint condition with no significant scratches, stains, or signs of wear. If you find a coin with full steps on Monticello, that's a bonus. If you own a valuable or high-grade nickel, you'll want to protect it. Use a soft, lint-free cloth and avoid touching the coin's surface. Storing coins in a plastic coin holder or a flip case will keep them safe from air exposure and scratches. The 2000D Jefferson nickel might be common, but it still has appeal for collectors. Coins in pristine condition, those with full steps, or rare errors can be surprisingly valuable. If you love history or just enjoy collecting, it's worth keeping an eye out for a quality example of this coin. You never know what you might find in your change. Next up, the 1988, and see what makes this particular year and mint special. The D mint mark on the 1988 Jefferson nickel tells us that it was minted in Denver. This nickel is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, which was produced continuously from 1938 through to modern times. The 1988 nickel specifically represents the classic design era before the updates of the 2000s. On the front of the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, you'll see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. This side, called the obverse, has been in circulation since 1938 with only minor changes. Alongside Jefferson's portrait, you'll notice the words "In God We Trust" on the left and the word "Liberty" with the date, 1988, to the right. Below the date, you'll find the D mint mark, identifying this coin as being minted in Denver. Now on the back, we have Monticello, Jefferson's famous estate in Virginia. This beautiful building symbolizes Jefferson's architectural and agricultural innovations. Above Monticello, it reads "E pluribus unum," a Latin phrase meaning "out of many." One beneath Monticello, you'll find the words Monticello and 5 cents, along with United States of America, along the bottom edge dot. So what is this coin made of? From 1946 onward, including the 1988 D nickel, but Jefferson nickels have been made of a copper-nickel composition. It's about 75% copper and 25% nickel, which gives it that familiar, durable feel. Each nickel weighs 5 grams and measures 21.21 millimeters in diameter. This metal composition has been a part of the nickel for many years, except for a brief period during World War II when nickel was needed for the war effort. During that time, nickels were made of a silver alloy, which we now call war nickels, but by 1946, the mint returned to the copper-nickel blend we see here in the 1988 D nickel. Now, let's talk about the value. As a modern coin with high production numbers, the 1988 D Jefferson nickel is generally worth its face value of 5 cents. However, coins in exceptional condition can be worth more to collectors. For example, a high-grade mint state version, where the coin is nearly flawless and uncirculated, could fetch anywhere from 25 cents to a few dollars, depending on the condition and demand. Collectors often seek out coins in mint state, graded by services like PCGS or NGC. Graded coins can command higher prices, with those in the highest possible grade, MS67, selling for several dollars or more. Even though it's not rare, a pristine 1988 D nickel can be a fun addition to any collection. Did you know that Jefferson nickel has only had a few major design changes since 1938? The most notable was in 2004 and 2005 when the U.S. Mint celebrated the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition with a new series of designs. These coins gave collectors a unique variety and honored Jefferson's contributions to the expedition. And here's another fun fact: while the nickel doesn't contain silver, war nickels from 1942 to 1945 do. They're about 35% silver, making them a bit more valuable. Handling your coins properly is essential for preserving their value. If you have a 1988 D Jefferson nickel in pristine condition, consider storing it in a protective holder or a coin album. Avoid touching the coin's surface directly with your fingers, as oils can cause tarnishing. Storing coins in a dry, cool place away from sunlight is also a good idea. This will help preserve your coins for many years, even if you're just collecting for fun. And that's a wrap on the 1988 D Jefferson nickel. While it may not be the most valuable or rarest coin in your pocket, it carries a unique history and design that's been a part of American coinage for over 8 decades. Next up, the 1940 Jefferson nickel showcases Jefferson's Monticello home. Below Monticello, you'll see the coin's value 5 cents around the top. We have the words United States of America, and directly above Monticello is the Latin phrase e pluribus, on a meaning out of many. This design reflects American ideals of unity and freedom. In 1940, the U.S. Mint produced Jefferson nickels at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia had no mint mark, while Denver coins featured a small D mark, and San Francisco coins had an S mark. This year was notable for high mintage numbers. Philadelphia alone struck over 175 million Jefferson nickels, making the coin widely available. When evaluating a 1940 Jefferson nickel, pay attention to a few important details. First, check for the sharpness of Jefferson's profile and Monticello on the reverse. Coins with well-defined details and little wear can be much more valuable to collectors. Coins in mint state or uncirculated condition are highly desirable, especially those with brilliant luster and minimal marks. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is finding error coins, and the 1940 Jefferson nickel has its share. There are a few popular errors to look out for. Double die. Some 1940 Jefferson nickels have noticeable doubling on the text, especially on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Look closely with a magnifying glass to spot this subtle but valuable error. Off-center strike. Occasionally, these nickels were struck off-center, which means the design is shifted, sometimes missing part of the image. Off-center errors are highly collectible. Full steps designation coins with an exceptionally detailed Monticello often have what collectors call full steps. This means you can see all 6 steps leading up to Monticello's entrance. Coins with full steps are rare and can be worth a premium. Now, let's talk value. How much is a 1940 Jefferson nickel worth? Well, it depends on the condition, mint mark, and whether it has any unique errors or full steps. In circulated condition, a typical 1940 Jefferson nickel might be worth only face value, around 5 to 10 cents. However, in uncirculated condition or with full steps, they can be worth significantly more. Coins graded MS65 or near perfect mint state might sell for $20–50. Meanwhile, coins with unique errors like a double die or off-center strike can fetch hundreds of dollars. The nickel's composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel had to change during World War II. By 1942, nickel was a critical war material, so the mint began using a silver alloy for nickels until 1945. That's why 1940 and early 1941 Jefferson nickels still have the original composition, making them a unique link to the pre-war era. Proper storage is key to preserving the value of your 1940 Jefferson nickel. Always keep coins in a dry, stable environment and avoid handling them with bare hands to prevent oils and dirt from damaging the surface. Consider storing them in a coin album or a coin capsule to keep them in the best condition. Next up, the 1962 Jefferson nickel. This coin was produced at 2 major mints, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The Philadelphia coins don't have a mint mark, while the Denver coins are marked with a small D on the reverse, to the right of Monticello. In the early 1960s, coin collecting was gaining popularity. Coins from the early 1930s to the 1950s were highly sought after, and people began paying more attention to the Jefferson nickel series. While the 1962 Jefferson nickel may not be as rare as the 1950 D, it still holds its place as a beloved classic among collectors. Let's go over some details for the collectors out there. The 1962 Jefferson nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a weight of about 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 mm. Its reeded edge and durable composition make it perfect for everyday use, which is why so many of these coins still survive in circulation today. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint produced around 97 million Jefferson nickels in 1962. while the Denver Mint struck about 280 million. That's a large number, so it's easy to see why these coins are relatively common. However, there are some variations and conditions that can make certain coins more valuable. The condition is key. For a typical circulated 1962 Jefferson nickel, the value is usually around face value to a few cents above. But if you find a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially one with a brilliant or proof-like shine, it can be worth much more. 1962 also saw the release of proof Jefferson Nickels. These coins were struck with specially prepared dies and polished blanks to give them a mirror-like surface, which makes them stand out. Proof coins from 1962 were produced in relatively low numbers compared to regular mint coins, making them desirable among collectors. A high-grade proof 1962 Jefferson nickel can fetch a premium, sometimes up to $20 or more, depending on its condition. Here's a rough guide for the value of a 1962 Jefferson nickel based on condition. A circulated coin is worth 5 to 10 cents, but if you have a mint state coin, or one graded MS65 or higher, you're looking at values from $5 to $30. Proofs in high condition can reach even higher values. So, should you hold onto your 1962 Jefferson nickel? Well, if it's in good condition or even has a proof finish, it could be worth a few dollars to a collector. But beyond the potential value, it's a piece of American history, a small part of the story of Thomas Jefferson, Monticello, and an era when coin collecting really began to take off. Next up now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1996 Canadian nickel. On the obverse or front, we have a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This particular design of Queen Elizabeth, crafted by Dora de Pedery-Hunt, was first introduced in 1990. It features the Queen in a more mature representation, wearing a crown. Dora de Pedery-Hunt was a renowned Canadian sculptor, and her design was the first portrait of the Queen to be designed by a Canadian artist. Below the Queen's portrait, we have the Latin inscription DG Regina, which stands for Dei Gratia Regina, meaning by the grace of God, Queen. On the reverse side, we have the iconic beaver, sitting on a rock. This design was created by Canadian artist G.E. Kruger Gray and has been featured on the nickel since 1937. The beaver, one of Canada's national symbols, represents hard work, industry, and resourcefulness, qualities often associated with the country and its people in terms of specifications. The 1996 Canadian 5-cent coin has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, a thickness of 1.76 millimeters, and a weight of 3.95 grams. It's made from cupronickel, a durable alloy that resists corrosion and maintains the coin's longevity. The Royal Canadian Mint produced over 121 million of these nickels in 1996 alone. They were minted in both the Ottawa and Winnipeg facilities, both known for their high-quality coin production. Now, you might be wondering, is the 1996 nickel worth more than face value today? Well, in most cases, the 1996 nickel doesn't carry high value for collectors. Since so many were minted, they are fairly common, and the standard versions are still worth just 5 cents. However, if you have a coin in mint condition or uncirculated condition, meaning it has no wear or scratches, it might be worth a bit more. A 1996 nickel in pristine condition can be valued at around 25 to 50 cents among collectors, though these values fluctuate with market demand. But there's something else to look for with the 1996 nickel errors. Sometimes, coins have minting errors that can make them especially valuable. While no major minting errors are common for this year, always be on the lookout for any unusual markings or misalignments, as they could increase the coin's worth to collectors. If you come across a 1996 nickel with a significant minting flaw, it could be worth several dollars or more depending on the rarity and demand among collectors. Before we wrap up, here are a few fun facts about the Canadian nickel. Did you know that during World War II, Canada produced victory nickels to support the Allied effort? These nickels featured a V for victory and a Morse code message around the rim: read win, when we win, we work willingly. It's a great example of how coins can reflect a nation's history and culture. So, there you have it, the full story of the 1996 Canadian 5-cent coin. From its historical roots to its design and collectability, the Canadian nickel continues to be a fascinating part of Canadian heritage. Next up, the 1973 Jefferson nickel. On the obverse side, we have a profile portrait of Thomas Jefferson, facing left. Above Jefferson's portrait, you'll see the word Liberty and the year 1973 in front of him. On the reverse side of the coin, there's a depiction of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia home. The inscription above reads E pluribus unum, and underneath Monticello, you'll find the words Monticello and 5 cents at the bottom. The coin reads United States of America. The design emphasizes Jefferson's legacy, both as a president and an architect. Now, what makes the 1973 Jefferson nickel interesting for collectors? First, let's talk about mint marks. Like many U.S. coins, the 1973 nickel was minted at different locations, which you can identify by looking at the mint mark. You'll find it to the right of Jefferson's bust. In terms of production, Philadelphia and Denver minted millions of these coins, but the San Francisco Mint produced fewer because they focused on proof coins that year. So the 1973 S-proof nickel is a bit more valuable and desirable among collectors, especially in pristine condition. The 1973 Jefferson nickel, like other nickels made since 1946, is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs exactly 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 mm. Although it doesn't contain any silver or precious metals, its copper-nickel composition is quite durable. This coin also has a smooth edge without ridges, which is unique compared to dimes, quarters, and half dollars. One of the most common questions is what's the value of a 1973 Jefferson nickel? For a circulated 1973 nickel in average condition, its face value is still 5 cents. However, collectors value coins that are in uncirculated or proof condition much more. In mint state, or MS grades, which range from MS60 to MS70, these coins can be worth from a few dollars to over $10, depending on the grade. Proof coins from San Francisco, which are specifically made for collectors, can be worth even more if they're in PR67 or higher condition. For rare varieties or error coins from 1973, like any unusual doubling or striking errors, the value can go up significantly. If you have a 1973 Jefferson nickel, it might be worth getting it professionally graded if you believe it's in high condition or if it looks unique. The Jefferson nickel is one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history. It was only slightly altered in 2005 with the Westward Journey series, but returned to the classic design soon after. Felix Schlag originally designed Monticello with more intricate details, but the mint simplified it to make the production easier. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, which makes it over 80 years old. So coins like the 1973 nickel are part of a continuous legacy. So, if you're sorting through your change, what should you look for in a 1973 Jefferson nickel that might increase its value? Coins that have minimal wear and no scratches or blemishes are worth more. Look for clean, sharp details on Jefferson's face and Monticello. Check for the S mint mark, which indicates a proof coin from San Francisco, generally worth more than circulated versions. Look closely for any misstrikes or doubling on the date, letters, or features. Errors are rare but can significantly increase value. So, that's our deep dive into the 1973 Jefferson nickel. Whether you're a serious collector or just enjoy the history, coins like this offer a fascinating glimpse into America's past and numismatic artistry. If you have a 1973 nickel, check it out and see if it's worth holding on to. Next up now, let's look at the specific features of the 1984 P. Jefferson nickel. On the obverse, we see a left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, his stern expression symbolizing resilience and strength. The word Liberty appears to the left, with the date 1984 just to the right, accompanied by the mint mark P, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint. This mint mark indicates that the coin was produced in Philadelphia. Interestingly, the Philadelphia Mint began adding mint marks to Jefferson nickels in 1980, so the 1984 P nickel was among the earlier examples to bear the P mark. Turning the coin over, we see Monticello, Jefferson's historic plantation home in Virginia. The building is beautifully depicted, showcasing its classical architecture. Above Monticello, the word Monticello is inscribed, and below it, the words 5 cents and United States of America frame the image. Just above Monticello, you'll notice the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one symbolizing unity. The Jefferson nickel has specific dimensions that distinguish it from other American coins. It weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. The 1984p nickel is composed of a 75% copper and 25% nickel blend, which gives it a unique, slightly silver color compared to other copper-based coins. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1984p Jefferson nickel. Since the Philadelphia Mint produced a substantial number of these coins, they're relatively common. However, if you have one in exceptional, mint state condition, it may hold extra value. Coins graded MS65 or higher can be worth anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on the quality. Additionally, look out for any special characteristics, like die errors or striking anomalies, as these can increase the coin's worth. Some error coins from this year have been known to sell for significantly more. If you're lucky enough to find one with a rare error, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Here are some fun facts about the Jefferson nickel. Did you know that it's one of the few coins to remain largely unchanged in design for so long? The portrait of Jefferson remained the same from 1938 until 2005, when it was slightly updated. And here's another interesting fact: the nickel's alloy composition was essential during World War II. The mint removed nickel from the composition to save it for military production, resulting in the war nickel made of silver from 1942 to 1945. After the war, they returned to the traditional copper-nickel blend that we see in the 1984p Jefferson nickel. If you're interested in collecting Jefferson nickels, you're in luck. They're affordable and easy to find, especially if you're just starting. Look for high-grade nickels with minimal wear, strong details, and good luster. Proper care is also essential. Keep them in plastic holders to avoid scratches and avoid cleaning them, as this can decrease their value. Next up, the 2004 US Mint decided to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Lewis and Clark expedition with a new series of designs. This became known as the Westward Journey Nickel series, which ran from 2004 to 2006. The 2005 Jefferson nickel, which we're focusing on today, is part of this commemorative series. The 2005 Jefferson nickel had two unique designs. Unlike the classic Jefferson profile, these coins feature two new designs, one on the obverse and one on the reverse, that were totally different from what collectors were used to. These coins mark the first time Jefferson's portrait was significantly redesigned since the original nickel in 1938. First, we have the American Bison nickel, minted early in 2005. On the reverse, we see an image of a bison, also known as a buffalo. This design represents the Great Plains, which were explored during the Lewis and Clark expedition. The bison symbolizes the native wildlife that played a critical role in the ecosystem and culture of the plains. Later in 2005, a second design was released. This is known as the Ocean in View nickel, featuring a beautiful landscape of the Pacific Ocean as seen from the west coast. The phrase "ocean in view," the joy is inscribed, reflecting the words of William Clark upon reaching the Pacific coast in 1800. The 2005 nickel also introduced a new portrait of Jefferson on the obverse. The US Mint used a forward-facing portrait by sculptor Joe Fitzgerald. This was actually the first time in American coinage history that a forward-facing view was used on circulating coins. The new design brought a modernized look to Jefferson's profile and gave the coin a fresh feel that collectors found exciting. Now let's talk about collecting the 2005 Jefferson nickel. Because the coins are relatively recent, they're not rare or highly valuable in circulated condition. However, in uncirculated condition, these coins are popular with collectors who enjoy commemorative coin designs. Nickels from this series with no wear, clear details, and in their original mint luster are worth a bit more to collectors, especially when graded by professional grading services. Some varieties also exist, so always check for unique characteristics or errors. The Westward Journey Nickel series, including the 2005 nickels, was hugely popular and inspired the Mint to keep updating the Jefferson nickel. In 2006, they introduced a permanent new design with a side profile of Jefferson and kept the Monticello on the reverse. These changes all started with the 2005 nickel, making it a landmark in US. Coin history. So, that's a wrap on the 2005 Jefferson nickel. This coin isn't just another nickel. It's part of a commemorative series that tells the story of America's westward expansion and celebrates the natural beauty and history of the United States. Whether you're a collector or just enjoy learning about coins, this nickel has a little bit of something for everyone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you, and next time, happy collecting.